All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Papa Finn reacts to your flaming hot takes from Twitter. Flaming hot takes, everybody. Let's check it out. Let's see what you had to say today. Okay, this one is from David Badarina. He says, Fred Durst is a better frontman than Chino Moreno. I said what I said. Well, listen, I mean, I can't disagree with that. I feel like that is, I feel like that's not that hot of a take. Because, I mean, it's just kind of a fact. You might like Deftones better. If you do, that's okay. But just objectively speaking, Fred Durst is a much better frontman, right? I mean, you could like Chino's vocals, but I think it's safe to say that Chino is a far better musician and a far better vocalist. But Fred Durst is a much better frontman. I mean, for one, you think about just how big of a celebrity he was and has been for, you know, whatever, 25 years. Chino's really not that charismatic of a guy, doesn't really have like a big personality or anything like that. And, you know, you think about Deftones doing Woodstock 99, which maybe they did, I don't know, but you can't really imagine Deftones doing the Woodstock 99 thing where, you know, the crowd was like destroying the stage and, you know, crowd surfing on the piece of wood and all that kind of stuff. This is not really Deftones kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a straightforward objective fact is that he is a far better frontman, probably not a fantastic vocalist. I would actually say, like, it's almost impressive that Limp Bizkit got as big as they did when Fred Durst has like almost zero vocal ability. Can't sing, can't really rap, you know, can't really like he can't, like, he has very, very, very little musical ability whatsoever. I mean, listen to this. And it's true. The man smashed a prime Britney Spears. This dance is the greatest accomplishment of the 21st century, and tried to smash prime Christina Aguilera. I don't think he pulled it off, but he tried. At the very least, he did stand on stage with her wearing his Osiris D3s at whatever that awards show was. So I say Fred Durst is definitely the best frontman of the nu metal era. No question about that. If you like Deftones better, totally fair, but I think objectively speaking, it's a fact Fred Durst is indeed a better frontman than Chino. I agree with that one. Next up, from Matt Dice of All That Remains, formerly of CKY, he says, festivals give bands an overinflated sense of their actual drop. I think this is interesting because this comes up a lot when I'll be talking about a band and people will say, oh, this band is the biggest thing in the world. Look how many people they played in front of at this festival. And I've brought this up a lot. I'm like, well, they did play to a lot of people at this festival, but, you know, people don't go to a festival to see any one band usually, or certainly anybody other than the headliner. And so this is a good example of it. Here's Blessed by a Broken Heart. This is from like 2008 or something like that. They're playing this arena in Japan to thousands and thousands of people, and they shot this music video there to make you think that they're a huge band. Well, no, I think they were opening for like Megadeth or something like that. Nobody was there to see Blessed by a Broken Heart. Everyone was there to see the headliner. Hats off to them for pulling a sneaky here and making you think that everyone came to see them, but they didn't. Yeah, it's like saying that your band is big because you played at Coachella. That's what I think too. Like, for example, Knocked Loose, people making such a big deal out of them playing at Coachella, which, I mean, that's cool. Don't get me wrong, like, good for them. But, you know, the fact that Knocked Loose played at Coachella, you know, that was headlined, I think that year was headlined by like Bad Bunny and Blackpink, I think. The fact that they played at the same show as Bad Bunny and Blackpink does not mean that they're in the same universe of popularity as Bad Bunny or Blackpink. I think this is a really good point. And, you know, to some extent, it doesn't matter. But I think what he's trying to say is that sometimes it's very easy for a band or for their fans to sort of believe their own hype and maybe get a little bit carried away and think that they're bigger than they actually are. And I'm not trying to put anyone down or like downplay their accomplishments or anything like that. But my point is simply that just because a band just like this is playing in front of thousands of people, that doesn't mean that thousands of people came there to see them. If your band name font requires the reader to squint to see it, you're there as filler. That's a fact. That's a fact. So listen, Matt's been around for a long, long time, so I would take his opinion on this one. Okay. Next one we have from Throwaway 8. Bring Me the Horizon has built a career by shamelessly trend hopping, not a knock on their music in general. This is one that I there's a part of me that agrees with this and a part of me that doesn't. And let me tell you what I mean by this. I would say Bring Me the Horizon, they have done a lot of trend hopping, but not in the way that this person is implying. So what he's implying is that Bring Me the Horizon has gotten popular because they capitalized on trends that other people started. And yeah, it's the opposite of that. Bring Me the Horizon has changed a lot, but they start the trends that everyone else hops onto. So they came out in 2004, 2005. They were playing deathcore at a time when deathcore was like barely existed. They were like one of the first bands, or certainly like the first, band from the UK to get any traction playing deathcore. And then they switched, right about the time that deathcore was getting really popular in like 2008, they had already switched to metalcore with Suicide Season. And then they switched to, I guess what you would call sort of like, rock after that with like That's the Spirit. And then Sempiternal, they switched, to whatever you want to call that, like the genty, metalcore, sempiternal kind of thing that to this day everyone is still copying, right? And now they're doing what I would call like pop metal, which I think is probably like the next big trend in metal. So yeah, I agree with this. They've never rested on their laurels. So it is true that Bring Me the Horizon is, I guess you could say, trendy in the sense that they're always adapting and changing and trying new things. But I don't think that means that they're like somehow, cynically hopping on trends, right? Like, what is an example of a trend that they have hopped on? They've been earlier, like basically whatever's happening in metalcore now is whatever Bring the Horizon was doing 2 years ago. That's been the case since like 2008. Everyone has been copying them, and they've always been 2 or 3 years behind the times. So I think this is a profoundly wrong, disappointing take. I disagree with you. I have banished you to the shadow realm. Couldn't be more wrong. I disagree. I think it's the other way around. I think they're setting the trends that everyone else is copying. Yeah, Bring Me the Horizon goes country. Listen, it could happen. It could happen, right? Like seriously, Bring Me the Horizon could do a country song or a country album. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Now that country is cool, they could do literally anything from country to black metal to like drum and bass to ska. They can do literally anything and it would turn out great. That's how good Bring the Horizon is. Yeah, I think this is a deeply, deeply wrong take. That's what I think. Next one we have here from Greasy Coffee. GG Allin is actually pretty good. I agree with this one, sort of. So for anybody who doesn't know, GG Allin was a musician in the 80s and early 90s, a punk rocker who made his name by throwing his poo-poo on people. This is what made him big. Like, I want to say probably like in the mid 80s or something like that, he started like just playing these totally unhinged songs where he would beat himself bloody with the microphone and like cut himself with broken glass and roll around, just act like a complete unhinged maniac to the point where he would go number 2 on stage and then pick it up and throw his number 2 at people in the crowd. This was like the thing that sort of made him popular. And a lot of his music is just absolutely unlistenable. For example, the song Shit on My Prick, like unlistenable noise. I mean, horrible. This is a lot of his music. It's just absolutely, completely unlistenable. However, I will say, some of his early stuff is like legitimately great. Almost sounds like, I don't know, like upbeat, like power pop. For example, this song Ass Face, I love. Sounds like early White Zombie. It does. I love this song. I legitimately love this. Ass Face, yeah. I think it's hilarious that his music sounded like that, that a guy who looked like this, just absolutely deranged, covered in his own blood from beating himself bloody with the mic, wearing a dog collar with a tattoo that says "Life Sucks, Scumfuck," made that like super catchy, like almost sounds like the Beach Boys kind of music or something like that. So yeah, I think GG Allin was a complete piece of shit, but that early GG Allin stuff, pretty good. The stuff that he started doing when he would throw his poo-poo, not so good. That's my take. GG Allin is actually pretty good. Sometimes is the answer. Okay. Next up, from Pendergreens, he says, well, it's great that recording and distribution has become accessible for new artists. It has also led to oversaturation and streaming services being filled with absolute junk. Metalcore is my favorite genre, but there are way too many bands that sound the same. This is true, and it's an inevitable side effect of exactly what he said. The fact that recording and distribution is now accessible to everybody. It's just a fact that now there's way more music than anybody could possibly listen to. I mean, I remember, you know, when I was in high school, it was like the challenge was to find something new. It's like, I feel like I've already heard every metal band. Could I possibly find something new? And now that, you know, home recording is so easy and you can put everything on Spotify in 2 seconds with DistroKid or whatever. Let's see, how many songs are there? How many songs uploaded? Spotify uploads 60,000 new tracks a day. 22 million tracks uploaded in a single year. It also means that a new song enters Spotify every 1.4 seconds. In total, Spotify has over 90 million tracks in its database. By 2022, the company is expected to reach the 100 million milestone. So this was a couple years ago. I'm sure it's even higher than that. So, I mean, think about that. 60,000 new songs a day. And this is true. I agree with this. Bring back the record label gatekeepers so we can end the infinite amount of metalcore bands. You kind of wonder, like, yeah, on the one hand, it's great that everyone has access to this stuff. On the other hand, was it maybe better that we had people at the record labels and stuff at least acting as some sort of filter? Maybe it was. You know, maybe everybody doesn't need to put their music out. So when I hear artists complaining, you know, about how hard it is to get attention and, you know, that they don't want to do social media to promote themselves, it's kind of like, well, with 60,000 new songs coming out a day, what do you expect? You got to be really fucking good and different to be heard in all that noise, right? In general, I'm in favor of anything that gives people the opportunity to put their music or their art out into the world. In general, I'm in favor of that. But there is kind of something here that, you know, you think about the glory days of a label like Roadrunner, right? Like back in the 90s, anything that came out on Roadrunner, you would check it out because there was a very good chance that it was probably good. Back when they were putting out, you know, Deicide and Obituary and all that shit, or whatever, like Victory, Trustkill, like pick the label that you like. The fact that somebody at that label with a really strong batting average signed off on this, it really meant something. It meant that it was probably good. And now it's like, well, what do you have? You have Spotify playlists, and what does that really mean? You know, that just means somebody clicked yes to put on a playlist. It doesn't mean that somebody at a label said, yeah, we want to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into recording and promoting this artist. That was a barrier to keep some of this crap out, at least to some extent. Obviously, you know, you could put out, you know, a demo or whatever, but I think there's something to this. There's an absolute like oversaturation of music. There's no way that anybody could possibly listen to even a fraction of the stuff that comes out. And yeah, that's the world we're in now. And it is, you know, like anything else, there's both good and bad to the fact that anyone can put their music out now. Last one we have from Cringe Callout. He said, metal stopped evolving after Periphery put out P2 in 2012. Everything is just based off of that. And I kind of agree with this. You know, consider this is from 2012. 2012. Is this not what everybody still sounds like? This is still what everybody's chasing, right? It is my opinion that Periphery are the masters of gent. You know, obviously Meshuggah was a huge influence, and Sixth and some other bands, but in my opinion, Periphery is the band that really set the standard for this sound. And I still think everyone is basically chasing this. You know, yeah, people have evolved it a little bit, but really this is still what everyone's trying to sound like in metal. This and Bring Me the Horizon, you know? It's one of the two. It's like Sempiternal and Periphery, some combination of those two things, and it's true. So I say justice for Periphery. I think everybody should send a check to Periphery, Architects, and Bring Me the Horizon. Everybody in every metal band should be sending them a check every month. That's what I think. And that does it for this edition of I React to Your Flaming Hot Takes. Thank you to everybody who submitted something, and I will see you next time for another edition. The stuff that he started doing when he would throw his poo-poo, not so good.